All right, friends, it's April Fool's Day. I don't have any jokes. I did not prepare. But when I'm trading, I don't really like April Fools because it's serious business. Hope you're having a good Friday. We'll get started here in just 20 seconds or so. A lot to check in on. Hope you're all swell wherever you're at. It's a little bit chilly today, but still doing some gardening stuff just an hour ago. All right, we're going. So we've had a lot of volatility since we last checked in. We had a big drop, we had a big bounce, and they were a bit tricky. And I'm going to go over where we stand currently, and then I'm going to look back on how this played out on the pullback into the bounce and just go over some of the observations I was making at that point in time. But definitely easy on this drop to have scaled in too early, which I did to a certain degree. So we'll go over that trade review as well. So first we're going to look at the S&P 500, and we can see we are pulling back on the daily time frame. We're looking for a daily higher low with tons of space for it to form, and we're testing daily EMA 12. So we started consolidation on the S&P 500 yesterday. Yesterday's candle broke the pattern of a higher low every day. Bitcoin started daily consolidation 2 days ago. It was a little bit early. So now I'm looking at this and I'm seeing a ton of similarities. I'm seeing Bitcoin leading the S&P 500, and I'm wondering if we're going to see something very similar play out. For example, Bitcoin, part of the reason this bounce was so tricky last night, the hourly RSI did not respond well for the bulls to first hourly oversold conditions. So we're going to look at that in depth, but it hit oversold, it putted around, and then it dropped to real extreme into the teens, which was unusual. And then we hit 4-hour oversold, and we bounced, and we're starting to try and find a daily higher low. Right now, the S&P 500 is doing the same thing. We hit hourly oversold yesterday. It was just a bear flag, and now the hourly RSI is approaching the teens. The 4-hour RSI is approaching oversold as daily EMA 12 comes into play. It's really mirroring what Bitcoin did a lot. So going to continue monitoring that relationship, but the correlation with the S&P 500 and the broader market has been thrown off the last 24 hours or so for Bitcoin. It's still present to a certain degree, but it's much weaker than it has been recently. So I'm going to go through my rundown here, and then I'll interact with you all in the chat room and take some requests and all that, all the while keeping an eye on the broader market because I do have some open positions with stop losses set, of course, but I am playing a bit bearish right now as the bears have complete control. This is the S&P 500 today, clear 15-minute downtrend, trying to find a little temporary bottom here. And if this bounce gets going, we'll zoom out and scout a 15-minute lower high. And Bitcoin is doing something very different. So Bitcoin daily time frame, this needs to be the higher low for me. And as I talked about in the video last time, 2 days ago, I am going a bit more aggressive on this daily consolidation, establishing a position, and I want to have a large position for this daily higher low. And that's in part due to the rumor. And again, a lot of people who know me as a trader might say, what is Dan doing trading on a rumor? That doesn't make any sense. So number one, I'm trading with the trend on every single time frame, monthly, weekly, daily, uptrend. We just had a weekly breakout. We back tested the resistance level from the weekly breakout. We tested daily EMA 12 for the first time. We know a daily higher low is the most likely scenario. So I am trading with the technical trends in my favor. But this is the kind of trade setup that I've taken many times in terms of the news aspect of things. And I did the same thing with Elon Musk and Tesla. He was dropping clues after clue after clue, positioned for the possibility that an announcement was coming with the swing position. That went really well. I've done it plenty of times in the cannabis sector as well. So it's not that unheard of for me to make a move like this. And it's essentially me just having a really good past 2 weeks of trading and saying, all right, well, I'll risk some of those profits to go aggressive here. And I'm either going to make my year over the next 2 weeks, or I'll be back at having half of my year made in the first quarter and just make it back later. And I know I come off as cocky sometimes or egotistical when I just say, like, if I take a loss on a trade, I can't tell you how confident I am that I'm just going to make it back next week. And if it's a bigger loss, maybe it's going to take me 2 weeks to make it back. But it's that kind of confidence that allows for zero fear of losing. As long as my stop loss and my maximum risk is accounted for, I have no problem taking the loss because I know I'm just going to make it back. And that psychology comes with experience, when you prove to yourself the consistency. And a lot of newer traders don't have that yet. So it's a lot scarier to be staring a loss in the face. For me, whenever I make a trade game plan like this one, where I'll go into more details of it, but essentially I'm looking to establish a large position on this daily consolidation, looking for continuation. As soon as I establish my game plan and I know where my stop is and I know how much I'm going to risk, as soon as I hit enter and start executing that game plan, I've already lost. In my brain, I've already lost. I already know my maximum worst case scenario loss, and I've already completely come to terms with that. And anything else is a bonus. If the trade works out, great, big win. And if it doesn't, fully expected it. So that's how I psychologically set up every trade and how I approach every loss with the confidence that I'm just going to make it back. So with this current drop on Bitcoin, we're looking for the daily high or low, but last night got to extremes. And again, it was a bit unusual for me. And it was unusual for a number of reasons. So it's not unusual that daily consolidation started. That was anticipated. It's not unusual that hourly RSI got oversold. That was anticipated because we know once daily consolidation starts, we look for hourly oversold conditions from there. What was unusual, the back burner doesn't have to nail the bottom, but it's generally, again, after a breakout and after a multiple week run, you don't see the hourly RSI get down into the teens very often. And there was no bounce on first hourly oversold conditions. We just traded sideways before that other leg down. And so looking at the Trader Pro alert system, that is an early back burner signal that obviously was way too early. In the end, it works out. And if you look at Ethereum's, much more forgiving. We're going to look at Ethereum here afterwards, but it was too early because we saw another significant leg down. And so that's part of the reason why I was scaling in too soon. And I don't have an average that I love, but again, with my game plan being bigger picture, I have an average that I am completely okay with. So on the drop down, we could see there was, again, the red flag is as soon as you hit hourly oversold, really the red flag started for me right, this drop right here, from here. Because oftentimes we see, a low set and then we break the low with zero follow through and then we shape up that falling wedge. So that in itself is not unusual, but look at the 5 minute here. Here now I'm going to go over the things that were unusual about this pullback. Hourly RSI dropping down into the teens, testing daily EMA 12 for the first daily consolidation after a big time breakout. Look at the 5 minute EMA 12 here. We did not touch the 5 minute EMA 12 for 2.5 hours. With the hourly RSI in the low 20s, with the 30-minute RSI in the low 20s. That is very unusual. That shows you a massive amount of bear control. And I was watching at this point in time, again, I scaled in, the majority of my scale-ins, once I decided, I had a game plan, okay, I'm going to, make an aggressive day trade up here. And then I started thinking and I'm saying, okay, I'm going to risk a good chunk of the crypto profits that I've made on the year. My stock profits are twice as much as crypto profits right now. So I'm gonna risk 25% of the profit that I've made on the year to go for a big win. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna be scaling in a large position. And so I'm entering here and here, and the majority of my entries were probably in the low 46s when hourly RSI first hit oversold and then down to 45. So I didn't get a bunch of fills in the 44s, which obviously would have been ideal, closer to the low. So my break even and my average is closer to the mid to upper 45s, actually probably upper 45s. And again, that's not ideal because I'm only, pretty much hovering around break even right now, when if I were doing a better job of scaling in, I'd be in the green and very comfortable. So I have half the full position that I want right now. And I'm not going to enter any more on weakness. I'm going to wait for some bulls to prove it to me. And if I need to buy into bull momentum, that's just fine. Just to go a little bit more back in depth to the rumor that I was talking about. So just so we're on the same page, Jack Mallers, we've got the Bitcoin conference a week from yesterday, I believe is the date. Thursday, I believe he's talking. Might be Friday, but I think it's Thursday. And he's been dropping clues in terms, and he just put out an interview. I forget the channel he did it on YouTube last night. He dropped some more clues. And at this point, it's shaping up to look like he's going to announce merchants that are going to jump on board with Lightning. And it's looking like it could be some potentially solid big names. Whether or not Apple's involved, I'm not so sure at this point. The ideal scenario is if you drop Apple and Bitcoin in the same headline, that gets a ton of FOMO, a ton of hype, a ton of attention. If you don't, There could be a little bit of disappointment because people are hoping that it's going to be something to do with Apple. If it's just something to do with Target and, whoever else, we have to see. But the bottom line is I'm buying the rumor and I'll sell some into sell the news. But depending on what the news is, if it were Apple, I wouldn't be so quick to sell. I would be holding longer. So again, that's structuring the aggressiveness. It's not structuring my trade. Buying this daily consolidation, I'd be doing that no matter what. But it's increasing my aggressiveness. It's increasing my position size. So after the red flags on this drop, 5 minute, and you could just watch it. I was sitting there and I wasn't even watching the order book. I used to watch the order book on GDAX back in the day when things were a lot more thin. The market makers didn't have massive positions and there was so much more volatility back then that you could get a lot of information from watching the order book and from watching walls and fishing and everything that was going on. And so I don't watch the order book I don't watch the order book. I don't watch it at all. I was going to say nearly as much. I can't remember the last time I looked at the order book in terms of deciding anything about a trade. And I could just watch the chart here and I could see watching on the 2-minute time frame, because we kept rejecting from 2-minute EMA 12, that there was just this steady drip into selling into the bid. It was just tick, tick. You can just see it because you're either ticking up or you're ticking down. And it was just, no matter what happened with a little uptick, there was just this constant drip. Boom, boom, boom. Just kept dropping the price down, down, down. And you could see that very notably. And what also stood out, so we got hourly RSI teens, 5-minute EMA 12 was not touched. Very unusual for 2.5 hours with the longer term time frames that beat up. Bearish correlation to the broader market. At this point in time, the futures, we closed weak in stocks at the end of the day yesterday, but we traded sideways for 5 hours. And then as we were entering our weakest point on Bitcoin right near the low, the futures were up at the high of their bounce. And it wasn't a very strong bounce, but it was still not nearly doing the same thing. As they were going inverse. And so that stood out as being unusual. And so when that happens and you get all these things that are unusual, you definitely want to be aware, what kind of news is potentially having an impact. And, you could look at the European Union and the vote that they had. Maybe that's a factor. You could look at the CME gap that was filled on this drop. Maybe big money's dropping it down to fill that gap. In the end, it doesn't matter why. Why is the least important factor to me. It happened. And, knowing why definitely helps a lot of people rationalize things. But it just is something to be aware of, that oftentimes things drop more than we think. And again, that's a common phrase for me. Things can always go lower than you think. Anytime you are scaling into a trade or playing an oversold bounce, the constant thought in your head needs to be, I need to be positioned and prepared for another leg down. No matter when, every single time, even at the bottom, I'm anticipating another leg down, just to ensure that I don't get overly aggressive. I don't use up all my ammo in terms of the cash positions that I'm willing to scale into. And so we hit the bottom here and we were grinding 2-minute EMA 12 again. And then once we had a bull break, right about here, things started shifting. And again, I was watching that tick, that drip, 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 drip into the bid, and then started seeing it in the other direction. And they were both doing it now. And so we still had the drip on the downside, but now there's this uptick bid taking place, or hitting the ask, I should say, just ticking up. And it was just a lot of this choppy action. And I'm sure you could go into the 15-second time frame. I'm not going to be able to find it easily on here, but it was just a lot of that back and forth ticking. Is this where I want to be? No. A lot of back and forth ticking, just battling. And you can see these sideways ranges, and just, you could tell there was a shift. The bots in the algo shifted and you could see it. And the question then is, okay, is it going to stick, or is this just short term and it's going to disappear again? And it did stick. That did mark the low. So for me, it's just a notable, okay, I could see the bots shift. I could see the buy bots turn on and then start to outweigh the sell bots. And that marked the bottom. So then from there, we got, trend changes. And it wasn't a very impressive bounce. It was nice, but we still had not changed the hourly trend. Then this morning we had jobs numbers. And we know that Bitcoin is responding more to economic data that the stock market responds to a lot more often. And so this morning, that's what this candle is right here, where we were pulling back on the hourly before jobs data came out. That helped mark the low, and then that shifted momentum very significantly. And then from that point forward, we had a very bullish correlation with the broader market. Stock market was not doing anything like this. The bulls just turned on the jets, and started to see a mini short squeeze. And I say mini short squeeze because some shorts are put underwater, absolutely. But it's nothing massive. We're not exploding to the upside. It was just a move that was fast enough where in this 4-hour span, we put, 12 plus hours of bears in the red. So it was a notable turnaround. And again, you went from a notable bearish correlation to the broader market to a notable bullish correlation. So this was a very tricky, if this one threw you off in terms of playing this in either direction, this is very tricky. And whether it was big money filling the gap and then turning it on for the daily high or low, again, who knows? We know we're scouting a daily high or low, but no shame whatsoever in struggling with playing this pullback because it was unusual. In hindsight, 4-hour oversold, okay, easy signal. Not so fast because that hourly was very tricky. So what do we need from here? We need a 4-hour. Well, I don't like the 4-hour clarity. I'm going to go to the 6-hour, and I'm watching now. The only thing that I care about is that top. I mean, it's close enough that 48.2 is pretty much the level, but I'm watching that top and this bottom. We've got our range established now, and I am watching to see, are we about to trade within this range all weekend? We know on the weekend things considerably slow down because the stock market is closed, because the bots and the algos that trade correlated to the stock market are turned off. There's less volume. There's generally less volatility. So there is a possible scenario where we set a 6-month or a 6-hour lower high, we pull back for a higher low, and then we trade sideways for a bit, and then we have to wait until Sunday night or Monday to get the answer, is our daily high or low set? If tomorrow gives us a daily inside bar, we're not going to have the answer to that question. Daily EMA 12 is still holding. The bounce was nice. So for me now, my trade game plan, I'm out if 44 breaks because that needs to be the daily high or low for me. And if it's not, that's a red flag as far as continuation. If that's our daily high or low, I'm looking for continuation and I'm looking for a test of 50,000. And again, the timing is going to be key here in terms of the end of next week in this Bitcoin conference. Just ensuring that the bulls keep a daily high or low pattern until then is essentially what I need to see. And I know that I'm scouting a daily high or low in the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. And so I'm hoping that we can see that daily high or low form. It's looking unlikely today unless we see a massive turnaround and a 180-degree shift. But if it's not going to be today, then Monday. Really want to see Monday stock set a daily high or low. Maybe we see 4-hour. If we see 4-hour oversold mark the bottom and then a bullish reversal candle on the daily, we'll be doing exactly the same thing as Bitcoin lagged by 1 day for the last 3 days, which again will be extremely notable to me if that's how it ends up shaping up. But the point is, if we set the daily high or low in the broader market, that will help Bitcoin potentially attempt to see the continuation on its daily uptrend. So that is where we stand for now. Again, I've got half of the position that I want. I'm not going to add a whole lot in here. I've got my stop loss set. Going to let things tighten up a bit. We're trying to set an hourly high or low right now. The bulls need to confirm a 5-minute trend change back in their favor. If we were to see an hourly high or low into continuation, that would be a great sign. Every leg up that we see from here increases probabilities that this is a daily bull flag. So every higher high that we see just puts us closer to resistance and further from support, which is obviously exactly what the bulls want to see. So with all of this, the dominance chart is still very weak. The altcoins are still strong. We're scouting a weekly high or low on the dominance chart, but there's no sign of it forming, and we are still at those lows. So we're seeing a scenario right now where on this bounce, Bitcoin led a little bit, very briefly. It's led a couple times briefly, and then the altcoins quickly catch up. They're leapfrogging. So here Bitcoin, gets a nice leg up on its bounce, and then the altcoins leapfrog Bitcoin to be up more. And you look at your list here of percent gainers, you see Bitcoin is 1.5%, and you've got all these 4, 5, 6, 7%ers, which are showing us that the altcoins are still notably stronger. So again, that's a good sign for bulls overall because some of these names are up testing their highs. OMG is right up near its high. Sol hit a higher high. We'll look at Sol here in just a moment. We got VET trying to head back up towards its recent high. So everybody's trying to set daily higher lows. And again, a lot of altcoins, back burner hourly oversold conditions were a lot more forgiving than Bitcoin, just in terms of being near the low. And again, with the back burners, gotta be scaling in and scaling out. And again, the video of how I do these trades, how I trade crypto breakdowns, I go really in depth in how I'm scaling in and scaling out to manage trades when I'm playing these oversold bounces. Playing the oversold bounces is a very tricky trading style. It requires standing in the face of a big bear train and completely harnessing your emotions and being in complete control of them. And that's the hardest thing to do as a trader. So it is definitely one of the more difficult trading styles, but it's one that I love. All right, so let's go in now and look at our altcoins. And again, just one more reminder, Trader Pro, we got a free month trial over the next few weeks. TraderPro.com, code free trial. A bunch of you have used that, getting some nice messages, appreciate all that. All right, Ethereum. Ethereum looks better than Bitcoin. So I know without looking that Ethereum BTC is breaking out. This is a daily bull flag. This is a really good looking daily bull flag. So we got a daily higher low here. I still have an Ethereum swing position. It's not as large as my Bitcoin position now that I've shifted over the last day. But if we get a bull break of 34.84, daily bull flag confirms. We then look up to 3,500, 3,550 is another level. But we're in an area where there's not a ton of resistance. 34.20, 34.84, we clear those levels. And we're looking up here, and we're definitely going to hit some previous support acting as potential resistance, but clearing recent prices and definitely some space up there to work with. So simple statement, if 32.11 holds, then this is a daily bull flag. And we haven't changed the 4-hour trend back to the bulls, clearly, but we're knocking on the door of resistance. I was watching this ETH BTC potential rising wedge, and what I'm seeing now is a lot of alt BTC pairings are breaking rising wedges bullish, which is a great sign because in a strong market environment, you break rising wedges bullish. And so that's what we're seeing on a handful of names. ETH BTC, clear bull break, Sol BTC. I was watching this hourly potential rising wedge. It's breaking bull there as well. So again, that's just another ode to altcoin strength. So ETH BTC, monthly higher low is set. And we've been watching this one for a while. We watched this weekly bear flag that confirmed with zero follow through. That marked our monthly higher low. So monthly higher low is now set. Again, just like Bitcoin, we have to be cautious of the head and shoulders on ETH BTC. If we set a monthly lower high and then lose the monthly uptrend, it's a big red flag for Ethereum bulls. But we've now got our benchmark. If 641 holds, then the uptrend remains intact on the monthly and the bulls keep complete control. So that is now the most important long-term level for me on this chart. In short term, we're going to scout a 4-hour high or low. And again, it's the BTC pairing is stronger than the US dollar pairing, which bulls are very pleased with. We got a little triple top here, 34, 49, 47, 51. So that's a triple top. And it's an hourly bull flag. I mean, this is a cup and handle as far as the psychology is concerned. Resistance, failure to break resistance, and bull flag attempt. So that's a possibility that's on the table. And if the broader market can find a bottom here, then we can say Ethereum is positioned really well to potentially benefit from that. It's a really good looking chart. It's definitely one of our lead bulls on the bounce over the last 12 hours or however long it's been. So Sol is definitely one of our lead bulls as well. We saw a brief pullback, 12-hour bull flag confirming. So now the 12-hour is my guide because if I look at the daily, that's just like a quick little lower wick, not a ton of clarity there, but I zoom into the 12-hour, it's much more clear. The EMA 12 is more relevant. So I can say as long as 117.50 holds, the 12-hour uptrend remains really strong for the bulls. And as far as the next resistance level, again, we're in an area where it's limited. Once you clear 122, we don't have much here. Next level we're looking at is 144. I'm rounding a bit, but 144. And we're just going to watch that 12-hour uptrend as our bigger picture guide. And again, we didn't even hit hourly oversold. So we're in a market environment where coins are just doing such different things. For Bitcoin hourly RSI to get in the teens, and for the altcoin of Sol to not even get close to hourly oversold just shows you how much stronger it was. I feel like Ethereum's going to try and make this move while I'm speaking for the hourly bull flag. So Sol BTC, strong here. We've got an hourly uptrend nice and clear. We're going to look at the 12-hour as our guide here as well. We've got tons of space for a 12-hour higher low to form next time we consolidate. And again, for me, it's just the constant watching of the three musketeers. Who's strongest? Who's weakest? Who's tightening up for maybe their turn next? And with the current setup, after looking at all three of these names, ADA has my laggard attention. Why? What I talked about last video. Find the altcoins whose BTC pairings are tight. We know volatility is coming to ADA. We cannot say if this is going to be a bull break or a bear break. We can say I favor a bull break because of the previous breakout over the last couple of weeks, because of the continued cryptocurrency strength. We're getting real tight here, and a break is coming sometime within the next 2 or 3 days. I would say at most, potentially even within the next 24 hours. But we know to be paying attention. If this breaks bull, we're going to be looking for ADA to then confirm daily uptrend continuation. So holding daily EMA 12, 4-hour trend change back to the, again, I don't like these 4-hour time frames. They're not clear for me with how this has played out in the last 24 hours. So I am going to be flipping around to the 6-hour and the 12-hour. I just want things to be nice and smooth and clear. And I look at this and say, well, is this a 4-hour trend change? And you could definitely say, yeah, that's good enough for me. 4-hour trend change confirmed. For me, it's not good enough because I need to see today's daily candle form, and then we need to break the high of that candle for our clear daily higher low to be set. But again, we're watching for this break because if ADA BTC breaks bull, we're going to be looking for the US dollar pairing to head back to its recent high of 125. VET, daily higher low, trying to shape up here. Again, I like the 12-hour better on these altcoins for clarity. So we're trying to shape up the 12-hour higher low at 7464. And looking at resistance of 8936. When I first saw this 12-hour consolidation, my initial thought was keep an eye out for a 12-hour lower high due to the size of this pullback. But now that I'm seeing Ethereum strength and I'm seeing all these altcoins strong, it's definitely possible that this 12-hour uptrend sees continuation. What will give us clues is the BTC pairing. If the BTC pairing loses the 4-hour higher lows here, watch the US dollar pairing for the potential of a 12-hour lower high. And obviously, if we were to confirm a 12-hour downtrend, that would show us we've lost short-term bull momentum. But we would have to lose the 4-hour higher lows on the BTC pairing to see that red flag form, in my opinion, which is possible. We just need to be keeping an eye on it. I think that's all I want to say. Ethereum's going for it. And again, stock's trying to bounce right now. Just get any kind of meaningful bounce going here, and it's really going to help Ethereum, in my opinion. It's going to help Bitcoin, which in turn is going to help Ethereum more. So 34.51 being tested. We have not confirmed a 5-minute trend change to bulls yet. We got plenty of space for a 5-minute higher low to form. And if we do get over 34.51, we're looking right back at our high on the daily, 34.84. Impressive bounce. All right, now I'm reading the chat room. Do I have an Instagram? There's so many scammers on Instagram. We do have an Instagram. It's not active. Honestly, I have a hard time. I make most of our social media content, and I make it, and it's one format for Twitter and YouTube, but I have to do something completely different for Instagram. I have to hold my phone differently. I have to use my phone rather than a camera and my computer to upload. It's just not easy to do, so I don't do it. But there's some fun content on there. Just be aware of the scammers. I get a message every week, literally every week, of a new scammer that's messaging people, and people think it's me, and they're double checking, which is great. Always double check. It's never going to be me. I will never message you out of the blue. I love you, but sorry, it's not going to happen. Luna. So Luna daily higher low. Again, all these altcoins look fine. Daily consolidation is inevitable. As long as we're holding daily EMA 12, this consolidation is just fine. And Luna hourly RSI didn't get too beat up. 4-hour did not get up close to oversold. So it's another one similar where we're watching, are we going to set a 12-hour lower high or a 6-hour lower high here and tighten up? Or can bulls surprise with continuation of the strength we've seen this morning. But Luna BTC, for comparison, stronger, resistance closer in play. Little daily inside bar broke bull. And again, Luna is going to get the spotlight big time again. If this chart breaks bull with this weekly bull flag on Luna BTC, with the proximity Luna has to all-time high, again, that's when it gets real strong, real explosive as far as follow through. And that's why bulls love blue sky breakout. And that's why I keep saying, have any name that is close to blue sky on your list to just always be checking in on, because it is much more forgivable. It's a much more forgivable market for bulls when you're that close to all-time highs. Because again, big money knows that it's so much easier to go 10% in blue sky breakout than it is to go 10% when you're working through 4 months of downtrend. AVAX BTC. Nice bounce. So nice bounce follow through. We looked at this a few times ago, and it was back here a few videos ago, and I said, got to be cautious of the daily lower high. Obviously, the follow through that the bulls have seen is great. It is still possible we set a daily lower high, but the size of this move is big enough that even if we do, we'll be looking for the higher low and equilibrium. This is one to be watching as well. You know, if I don't have a position, I want another lower high. I want to get tight as possible, and I want to look for an entry on the next higher low consolidation. If I am in a bullish position, obviously I just want the bull break to take place. But look at how tight this BTC pairing is getting. This weekly range, we've been trading within it for months now. And it's just a question of, can we break resistance? Or do we set one more daily lower high and get nice and tight before ideally a bull break takes place from there? So this is definitely one to be watching as well. Cannabis sector, we did get the House bill passed today. The cannabis sector and traders and investors are smartening up, and they know passing the House means nothing. It's the Senate. They know it's a slow road. Great, you pass the House, big whoop, doesn't mean a thing. Weeks later, months later, however long it's going to drag out, goes to the Senate. Every single time it's gone to the Senate, it's been rejected. So the market's not getting excited about the House votes anymore, and that's clearly on display today. UOS. Trying to set a weekly high or low. Daily needs a little trend change here. So it's a little inverse head and shoulders on the 12-hour. Left shoulder, let's see, 28.71, 28.67, so a little double top. And now we're trying this right shoulder here. So we got to break that little double top to set the weekly high or low. And then have UOS start to have a strong move with that BTC pairing. And clearly here, 146 is the level to clear on the US dollar pairing. I have been watching FTT because I liked looking for the FTT BTC daily high or low here. And we've now set it. Weekly is tightening up there. Daily, nice bounce. More pullback than the bulls want to see, but we are still holding daily EMA 12. And again, it was a big time bounce off of those lows. Got to see trend changes. Need to see a 12-hour trend change back to the bulls. Again, more pullback than the bulls want to see. Less likely to be a daily bull flag. It's still possible, but that BTC pairing will need to see notable follow through on this daily bounce if it's possible to be a daily bull flag, in my opinion. Will Trader Pro be integrated into the stock market into the future? We're definitely looking into it. We were very close to doing it in the past, but honestly, the data is expensive. Crypto data can be essentially free, but the data, to get stock market data, you got to pay. And the environment is shifting a little bit, but for the most part, it's expensive. And so we don't know if demand will justify that cost, is really what it boils down to. The number one way to get me to ignore you completely is posting the same message in caps locks multiple times. I would love to look at gold and silver right now, but I'm not going to do it. In fact, I'm going to put you in timeout. I don't look at the BTC NDX chart, but yeah, I do know. Like I know today's a big, without even looking, I know BTC NDX right now is a big green day today. And it's just from just being so tuned into the markets on a consistent basis. And I'm always watching relative strength, relative weakness. We'll add stocks eventually, and we're working on other alerts and stuff. We're trying to figure out some good spotlight alerts as far as altcoins, knowing when to focus on altcoins, when to focus on Bitcoin, how to write these formulas and equations to give those signals. Binance, keep an eye on Binance. It's starting to shift a bit. BNB BTC, I was watching this one. Here's two to keep an eye on. So Binance we're keeping an eye on. Nice bull break, but again, price levels matter more to me. So 97.06 has to break here. Otherwise, it's just a lower high and continued tightening range. But BNB BTC is looking for a monthly higher low, just like Ethereum BTC just was and set it. Inside bars, we're getting tight here. So keeping an eye on that. And as far as the US dollar pairing, USDT, daily bull flag on the table as well. And you can see it's closer to testing a tie because that BTC pairing is seeing some strength. Another one, keep this one on watch, Sand BTC. I've been watching this one for weeks. It's a long, drawn out falling wedge. Why do I care about this falling wedge? Because the most likely scenario is a monthly higher low. Just like we've been stalking Sol for this monthly higher low. Speaking of which, I haven't looked at that monthly in a while on Sol. Have we set those higher lows? Yes. 2 months ago, we know it's coming. Just keep an eye on Sol. It's going to be a laggard. Both pairings, monthly higher low set. Beautiful. Sand is going to be, we're going to look for Sand to do the exact same thing that Sol just did. So Sand, USDT, needs the monthly higher low. Look at it tightening up. Monthly EMA 12. And Sand BTC, same deal. This is the same setup that Sol just went through. And it has not broken yet. So this is a laggard to Sol. So I'm watching this falling wedge shaping up. And I drew this weeks ago, and I saw yesterday we rejected right from my resistance. So that increases validity to me that this is the pattern to be watching. And if we break out bull, our monthly higher lows will very likely be set on both pairings. Keep an eye on these. We go through these cycles with these altcoins, and the metaverse names have been out of the spotlight for a couple months. They'll come back in the spotlight. It's just a question of when. As long as we're in a bull market, that rotation keeps on going. How to use the fib tool. So it is, I got a video on it. Again, everything. It's come to my attention that not enough people peruse our YouTube channel. Fibonacci retracements, 18 minutes long. There is so much content on here. And if you like my style and our style, then just spend a weekend. Spend an hour every weekend saying, okay, I'm just going to watch whatever videos catch my eye this weekend. You can go back. You can go back and look at the Bitcoin chart from 2017 and say, whoa, that was a crazy day. What was Dan saying on that day? And you can look up the date, and there is a video where I'm talking about Bitcoin in the crypto space and how I'm trading it and what's going on from that date. Appreciate it. I do not accept tips. Donate it. QQQ just broke bull. I bet Ethereum just broke bull. Bink. Hourly bull flag confirmed. QQQ falling wedge bull break. Bitcoin lagging behind Ethereum. FTM BTC. Looking for a 4-hour high or low. Nice tight range. Tight range with the bull break. Let's see when that signal was given. And if you entered the US dollar pairing on that signal, let's say you waited for the second signal, the second level. So the initial break, it definitely putted around a bit, but the initial break happened yesterday at 21.45. And at 21.45, we're down here, and we are currently up. What's that, 7%? So 7% move because of the BTC pairing signal. Do I have a special charity? I've got a few, but I suggest finding a local charity in your area. That's really the best way to have the most impact, in my opinion. Did watch the crypto documentary on Netflix, maybe last night. It was definitely interesting. And definitely an eye-opener in terms of trust and all that. How do you play names when they're so overbought? You wait for the trade to come to you. You say, I will make an entry next time we see 5-minute oversold conditions. And if we don't see 5-minute oversold conditions, you wave goodbye to it. And say, I missed that one. Enjoy your gains, bulls. I'll get the next one. All right, we got a lower cap request for gold and silver. A low cap, singular request. So I have gold and silver positions, and my stop is under our recent lows. That was a low in response to a reaction to headlines. That must be the weekly high or low if I'm going to be in this position. So what we need is a daily trend change back to the bulls to set a weekly high or low. So gold must hold 1890 and then must break where we just topped out at 1950. And if we get that next week, our weekly high or low is very likely set, and then we scout a weekly low or high. Gold loves trading in long, boring, tightening ranges. And because of the size of the retracement on this weekly time frame, it's entirely possible that gold is about to do that for the next 2 months. But we have to set the weekly high or low first, and silver is the exact same thing. Don't really need to say anything different. Need the daily trend change back in favor of the bulls to try and shape up a weekly high or low. How to learn to sell winnings, always worried to miss out, scale out. Again, the psychology mindset that you can put yourself in. We choose our psychology mindset so often. You can choose to be in a bad mood. You can choose to let something roll off your back and not let it bother you. If I sell half of my position and it keeps running, great, I'm making more money. If I sell half a position and it tops out, great, I took profit and I have capital to reload on consolidation if I want to. You can easily put yourself in a win-win mindset. You can also very easily put yourself in the lose-lose mindset. You sell half, it keeps running. Oh, what an idiot. I should have held the whole thing. You sell half and it pulls back. Oh, what an idiot. I should have sold the whole thing. You choose your psychological mindset. And if you are constantly in the negative state, that is self-perpetuating, and you will put yourself in a downward spiral and you will sabotage your own success. We choose our psychological mindset. Positive, upbeat, forward-looking, confident. Still looking a little bit toppy on the BTC pairing. Let's see if we're getting any clues. Not yet. 4-hour uptrend, very clear. Watch both pairings, and if we lose the 4-hour high or lows, daily consolidation is shaping up. I prefer to trade crypto on exchange. I haven't messed around with DEX yet. Silver is just a leveraged version of gold. It goes up faster, it drops harder. I got a swing position in Tesla. I look at it every day in the market videos. I talked about it in yesterday's broader market video. I put out stock review videos Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday afternoon. And I've had Tesla from 840s. And I'm not exiting what I've got left of that anytime soon. There would need to be big red flags on the daily. Best lesson learned in year 11 of trading. So the biggest psychological shift that I've had over the last year that I have not had in the last 11 years is I just reach periods, and again, I don't want to come off sounding egotistical, but I reach periods of flow state where the game's really easy, where it's just like, I just don't care. I don't care about profiting. I don't care about making money. I've never lost motivation to answer questions in our chat room and to do the live streams and to do the YouTube videos, but I have been losing motivation to make my own profit trading. And that's never happened. And so it's almost like, again, I talked about it in the New Year's resolution video that I put out 3 or 4 months ago. And it was just constantly winning and just being in such flow state, like, okay, I'm exceeding all my goals. Why am I still doing, what do I want to make 3 times as much money as I need? So I was really struggling with the motivation to continue wanting to profit. And then I had self-sabotaging mindset take place where I just got lazy and made some simple mistakes that subconsciously probably were potentially intentional. And so I take a solid loss, and now I have a goal. Okay, get back to where I was. That's a goal. Okay, that's exciting, a challenge. I can get back into it again. But as soon as I exceed my goals, it's just like, what am I doing? Like, do I really care? No, I don't. So we'll see how that plays out. It was definitely a curveball. I've never experienced that before. Ethereum testing the high, trying to confirm the daily bull flag. Note that the Trader Pro free trial is not our paid group. We have different things. Trader Pro is a standalone service. The Chart Guys is 3 live streams a day, chat room community with a ton of different channels and constant interaction, answering questions. So there's trade setups and community interaction. In our Chart Guys membership, Trader Pro is its standalone thing. Exactly, Hector. When you run out of goals, I mean, you can only increase so much. Like if I'm making more than I need, do I want to make 3 times as much as I need? I don't want a boat. I don't want a mansion. It's nice to be able to do good things with money and not think twice about giving away. So that's definitely a motivation. Hey, Brian, definitely paying attention to back burners, although definitely making note that the back burner last night for Bitcoin was not a good one. It was an unusual drop in terms of that magnitude, but also watching the super stacks, that Sol super stack marked the top. We didn't have a ton of pullback from that top, but it was definitely an area to take some profit and potentially reload a few percent cheaper, sell a super stack, reload 5-minute oversold. What plants give me the hardest time in the gardens? I can't do cabbage and cauliflower and broccoli. They don't size up right, and there's caterpillars that just love them. And every year I grow them and I just see all the caterpillars and say, you're enjoying it more than I would, just eat it, whatever. And I just let them eat the whole crop. I'm not a good gardener when it comes to killing pests. Just have it, whatever. If it's the end of the world, I'm gonna kill those bugs and eat my food, but I don't need it. Am I still shorting the prison stocks? No, I stopped that because they weren't ideal traders. The bid and the ask spread and the volume and the liquidity just did not fit my style. So looking at Geo Group here, I mean, the short definitely would have gone very well. I forget when I put that video out, but we definitely dropped a lot from that video. When did I put that video out? Year ago. June 10th, 2020. Yeah, so we dropped a good bit. But yeah, no, it's just not my trading style. It didn't suit my trading style. Which is unfortunate because I really liked shorting them. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up here. We got, what, 2 more hours left in the stock market trading day. We got Ethereum doing good things. We got Bitcoin needing to follow, of course. Bitcoin's got to confirm an hourly bull flag if Ethereum's gonna get notable follow through. If we're holding daily EMA 12 on these pullbacks after the breakout the last 2 weeks, bulls are just fine. And we're positioned well. Again, it's the mindset saying right now the stock market is not helping Bitcoin set a daily high or low at all. But it might early next week. And that's just something that could potentially benefit further. But keeping a close eye on futures charts and our downtrends. S&P 500, daily EMA 12 is right here right now. Hourly downtrend, simple guide, or the 4-hour. In my experience, where does the capital to get a day trading account started usually come from? It comes from, everybody has different sources, but a lot of entrepreneurial grind for sure. Again, my account was funded with painting a house and doing yard work and mowing lawns, being a summer camp counselor in high school, playing some poker in college. Everybody has their own ways. I flipped, I came across a painting and flipped it on eBay for $600. I put that right into my account. So Gary V style, there's definitely ways to get that grind. Add $100, it adds up. Again, if you're looking decades out, every little bit of capital that you can accrue and put in an account is the way to go. Any interest in a small account challenge? Nah, I did one of those when we started TheChartGuys. When we started TheChartGuys, my trading plummeted because I was all of a sudden answering questions all day as my top priority, and I was live streaming. I've never traded while live streaming. And so it took me an entire year to get used to that new routine and to be able to trade while doing it. And so I recognized, okay, I'm losing. This is unusual. Stop. And I just took $3,000 and day traded weekly options. And at that point in time, it might have been 2015, 2016 with TheChartGuys. And I was just posting every single trade, just laid it all out on a spreadsheet. And it went well. I did it, I think, maybe 3 or 4 months where that was my main focus. But have not done that since. And honestly, it's a little bit of a waste of time where, if I can do something with a small account or with my account and I'm making 10% as much as I would be making if it was for real, there's not a whole lot of incentive there. Wife hates you trying to trade and says it's not work, just gambling. Anything you can say to convince her it's not luck. It is gambling, but we put the odds in our favor. It's like counting cards in blackjack. You can watch the movie 21 with, who is that, Kevin Spacey? If you can give yourself an edge in gambling, you can make money. Technical analysis is my edge, gambling. It is gambling. She's not wrong. You have the same emotional rushes, dopamine hits. You have the same emotional impacts. My experience as a poker player absolutely steepened the learning curve. Is that the right phrase? But definitely sped up my ability to manage emotions with trading. I have a video about how technical analysis is like poker if she knows the intricacies of Texas Hold'em, where if I see the turn card, my probabilities significantly shift. Just like if I see a certain candle, my probabilities significantly shift. Congrats, Aaron. Don't give it back. Have I ever mined Bitcoin? Nope. What happened to my small account of 3K? Let's see, I think every month I made, 1.2 thousand, so 30 to 50%. And then I stopped doing that, and eventually it went into Ethereum 2017 and grew a lot. I went real aggressive. I took 95% of my trading capital and put it into Ethereum looking for a 50% move, and then it went 3,000%. And my rationale was, and this is really important psychologically, number one, my age, I was 20, what was I? 28 or something? Yeah. Cost of living was like $400 a month. I was living for free doing work trade. And my rationale was, if I lose this money, then it's just, for trading, it's always been, if I lose this money, then I'll just get a job like everybody else. Like, that's the worst case scenario. I'll just have to get a job. And so having that backdrop as being the worst case scenario was just fine. Whereas if I had a mortgage and a family, the worst case is a lot different. Don't use the Farmer's Almanac for gardening. I do have one on hand, though, in case the world ends and the internet goes down. How much do I allocate trading versus investing cash? It's been trading 100% until the CVID dump. Then I established a long-term no-touch SPY position. I did have long-term no-touch crypto at that point as well. Let's see. That's hard to say. I would say 85% liquid cash. I just love being able to pivot on a moment's notice with cash. I'll go trade over here. This sector's breaking out. I'll go over here. Opportunity in real estate, wherever it is, just liquidity is just such a gift. Dollar amount to suggest to start day trading, ideally over the pattern day trader minimum of 25,000, which is the law in the US. I'm not sure about other countries, but if you want to be able to not be limited to number of trades you take in a rolling 2-day period, you need 25,000 as a starting point. And I can remember back in college where I was fluttering around that level. I'd go up to 27 and then down to 23, and Fidelity would, I can remember being out watering the garden and listening to the message where Fidelity was telling me, you've fallen under pattern day trader, your account's going to be restricted for 90 days, blah, blah, blah. Will I trade forever? Do I have a goal or exit in mind? I'll always do something in markets as long as there's markets. I'll do it way less without a doubt. But I don't have a goal. Pretty much I'll just listen to intuition. When I don't feel like doing it anymore, I'll stop. I thought that would happen 3 years ago. Our TheChartGuys partner, Jason, at least in our relationship the last 6 years in terms of running the TheChartGuys, at least 5 times I've said to him, like, just a heads up, it might be coming soon or I'm done. Man, I'm getting really big deja vu right now. All right, I'm out of here. Tax tips, pay your tax. I'm having that's deja vu too. All right, we're wrapping it up before I start tripping. Appreciate you all tuning in. Have a good rest of your Friday. And let's see if Bitcoin can confirm an hourly bull flag as well. Do good things. Check out traderpro.com, free trial, code free trial.